And today we are going to talk to the master connector, but more importantly, what is it that we need to do? How do we need to do it? And what is the process we do it to connect with people at a higher level today? To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. And Jeff comes back strong at the end of the week, eh? You see that?
Yes, Jeff, man, coming in.
And then we got Ryan. Morning, my guys. Morning, Ryan. Good morning, Lisa. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, Antoine. Good morning, everybody. Today's a huge day because for all y'all that are obviously in our world of logistics, it is becoming increasingly difficult, like more and more and more difficult. I don't even know if that's proper English, gentlemen, but I'll use it to connect with people, right? Like if we talk, we've had traffic managers on where say like, they used to get 25 calls a week. They're now getting 25, 30 calls a day. So how do you break through that noise? How do you connect with people on a level where you're congruent? Gentlemen, we were just talking backstage. A good friend of mine, Richard Kay, who's CEO of CEO Space, once told me, Dan, congruency is everything. Like if you're not congruent with your customers, they will not be your customers for long. However, if you're congruent with somebody and you match, you align on multiple levels, you'll always find a way to do business. And isn't it interesting? We meet people in life and somewhere down the road, we either exchange business, we do business, we bring on board, we start a business together because of that congruency. I can share that I'm in the middle of a major, major project right now. And I will only bring people in that I'm so congruent with because you're the sum of the 5 people you hang around with the most.
Yes.
Right? So
I love that you've said that for a little while now since we met. And I love that you say that because I really do. I can't thank you enough for being one of the 5, but just the power of that, dude. It's it's crazy.
Before I learned that, I was the kind of guy where I'm like, if I had 50 friends, I was like way better than if I had 20, right? It's just my mentality, the way I was kind of wired, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not wired, maybe the way the circuitry was, because you can change the wiring. But it was, and it was interesting because I had a bunch of friends that were so negative. And I found over time, when I would hang out with them, negative shit would start happening. And it's like, hold on. Have either of you, and we want to get into this too, Steve, have either of you woke up one day and said, this is not my life? Like, I did not plan for this to go this way. Why am I going down this hole? And 100%, Steve, jump in anytime, my friend.
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh, hold on. You're on mute.
I think you're muted.
Your audio is not working.
I think you do that on the show too, don't you?
I do. I got to do it at least one time to at least initiate that. Yeah. Trying to be polite, have good Zoom etiquette, good, video etiquette. And of course, that is the deal. But it's great to be on with you guys and excited to share, maybe some insight from my world. But it's definitely not, I would have never guessed in 1,000 million years that I would be called the master connector. I mean, some of you guys who know my story, maybe I know DJ probably does, but shy introverted, picked on, bullied, learning disabled, dyslexic. My best friend was the TV. I didn't speak to anybody. I would come home and lock myself in a room and not be around even my family. And today that, to be considered or called the master connector is kind of crazy. So who'd have thunk?
How did that change, Steve? What was the big aha moment for you that changed that?
Oh, I love it.
I mean, there's a lot of different things that changed, right? I think a big transformation for me was, getting into the martial arts. That was a stepping stone for me. And it started to get me, the idea of, hey, I could actually do something great with my life and maybe to some degree have an impact on other people. The initial draw there, because, and just to be a little transparent, DJ knows I'm big on authenticity and just being vulnerable. And I was, because I've had all this hurt as a kid, including, rejection. I love my mom today, and my dad has passed since, but I love my parents and I appreciate them. But there was some rejection, so to speak, as a kid. You had the my father was always working. He was never around. I don't think he made it to one of my games, one of my Little League baseball games. And, I think I played catch with him once. My mom was, she became a single mom. They got divorced, and she was always busy working and then trying to create a second career and going to, college at night and studying. And, I knock on her door and her door was locked. You couldn't even get her son. She wouldn't even let her son in so rejection, right? So I get into the martial arts, and then I start to see, and it kind of numbed myself. I decided, all right, I'm not going to feel pain, both physically or emotionally. And in the martial arts, they said, hey, you don't need to, don't show emotion, don't show pain. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. This is great. So that initial aspect got me in, and I felt like I kind of belonged, and I started to build a little bit of an identity, and in that community. But for myself, I started having some confidence. I started to have a command of the school when I was asked to speak as an instructor, and so it grew a little bit. But I still had no people skills. I still was the guy that if you told me how you felt about something, I'd be like, you're wrong. Like no, like, well, I understand how you feel. If I was in your shoes, I'd feel the same way. Let me tell you how. What I've experienced. No, just you're wrong. So the martial arts was a piece of it, and I saw how mentoring and being an influence somebody could have in my life, like my instructor did, in a positive way. I could impact others, but it was limited. And then eventually, in the advertising industry, I was introduced through a good friend that I worked with to a very successful entrepreneur who that relationship became a mentoring and business relationship, incredible relationship, became transformative and allowed me to just sort of not allowed me, but kind of directed me in a way to get in a completely different direction and, path of self-development. And he challenged me. And I think DJ probably knows this, I speak about a lot, is, hey, I want you to meet 3 total strangers every day.
Yes, sir.
Like, gosh. And in New York, as you guys probably know, right? If you talk to strangers, you're going to get shot. That's the perspective.
Jeff, is that true?
Jeff, is that true?
Jeff will be like, damn right it is.
Yeah, Jeff's from New Jersey, so we reached out to Jeff to find out if they know.
Like you go downtown Jersey, downtown New York. Hey, my friend, how you doing today? Like, what the hell are you doing? Right? We always see it. I live in the country, and we're always saying hello to everyone. Like, no matter who it is. And it's one of these paradigms as a kid where you're like, don't talk to strangers. You're like, hey, how you doing this morning? Oh, good. How are you? Great. Thank you. And they walk away, and your child goes, do you know that person? You're like, no. They're like, okay, hold on. You tell me not to talk to strangers, but you're talking to strangers. So, but we can always tell in the town when we're walking who's from the city. Because you're like, good afternoon. How are you? And they're kind of like you got malaria or something. It's like, oh my God. It's crazy.
I was talking to somebody who's from the Midwest, and
Steve,
she said, good, I'm sorry, guy. I was just gonna say, so she's from the Midwest, and she's used to when you're walking on the street, like you said, you're looking for people with eye contact. You're looking at who you can say hello to and nod to, and she learned very quickly in New York. You get your head's down, you're focused, you don't look at people, because if you do, you're potential prey. Anyway,
potential prey. I love it.
So, Steve, I love that you said that, and actually triggered something to me that I never really thought of. But when you said about martial arts and they said about hiding your feelings, you're like, yes, that's great. Sales was that for me, and I never really realized it. I talked to somebody else, but it was when they told me at a young age, like, you're in sales, you're on, you have to pretend like you're on, you're an actor, you're on a show. So like you can't, if you're having bad things out there, or your mom died, like, your customer doesn't care. They're going to know that. You just have to put on the stage. So I was like, sweet. I don't have to be like scared. I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to be, afraid to say the wrong thing. I could just be this other mask. Like you said.
You like created a character.
Oh, I created a total character of what I seen from what I thought was the, like I said, when we had Andy Paul on, what I thought was the prototypical, like, what would make me a great salesperson or make me successful was,
and I've learned to do the opposite, right? So like, I was at a memorial service, a funeral for a really close friend. I'm sure you saw my post on it. He was 30, he was 38. No, I'm sorry. That's not true. He was 53 when he passed. I had another friend that died of a similar brain tumor issue, brain cancer, at 38 years back. But anyway, he died. And one of my clients, calls me up, and I picked up the phone. I stepped out, I picked up the phone, and I wasn't trying to tell him to make him feel bad, but I said, hey, I'm just so you know, I'm at a funeral. I wanted to pick you up. He's like, please go back. I said, no, I'm okay. There's a break. We're waiting for the family to arrive still. I have a couple minutes. How can I help you? And he was so appreciative, right? I said, listen, to me, my clients are my family. And I do. I take calls at night, the weekends. Probably stupid, but I do. And so I've learned that it doesn't have to be a hard line between business and personal per se. You got to be professional, right? But at the same time, we're humans, right? And I think one thing that COVID did for us is it kind of showed us, like I think now it's acceptable if you're on a call, a call for somebody and that you hear a baby crying in the background and it's customer support person. We know because they're working remote and it's okay. We're not as like, what the heck,
not judging. Oh, they're from home. What is this, a scam?
Yeah. You guys aren't a legit company. You're not in an office, right. And I mean it changed the landscape. I have a follow-up question that I think is going to create huge value for everyone. So at the beginning of your story, you said you were rejected.
Yeah.
That rejection caused these inner emotions to build up.
Yep.
The big question is, how did you recognize you were rejected? Because as a child, mom, dad working to support the family is kind of a normal thing for people our age, because that's what most of our parents did, is they were out creating this career to help their family. Nowadays, obviously, with the generations, it's more of a life balance. As opposed to, I remember my parents saying, no, you put your head down, you work hard, you don't talk back to authority, and you get things. And nowadays it's like, no, I'll respect you as much as you respect me. And if you don't, then don't expect it back. And
right.
I see that a lot with the younger generation.
Sure.
But how many people, and I'm asking for a very specific reason, Steve, because we've both been on that same path. How many people actually realize what happens to them as a child has a massive impact on their life until they figure it out? So I'd love to hear from you before we get into the actual connection part, because we do want to add value to the audience for that, because I think it's huge. But when did you realize that was actual rejection in your mind that made you go inward instead of outward? Was there a specific time frame? Was it like a coach? Like, how did you see that come out?
It was very recent. I'm not 20 something anymore. And it took a long time. And I grew up and even into my adulthood with that, I was devalued. I didn't feel like there was value there. And I didn't know what that was. It was part of me. I was one big rejection. I was just that was me. I was, rejection in all parts of my life, and even felt like when I was in a crowd, if I voiced my opinion, someone would say something, and, sort of put down what I said. Yeah, hurt me or put down what I said. So I just kept my mouth shut because I'd rather, and if you read the book Mindset, which talks about the growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, I was definitely the fixed mindset person, because I didn't want to, be criticized. My value of me was so fragile. So it took a while, and there's been a few things that have happened, but I think the revelation for me happened to be at a silent meditation retreat. I've never done that ever before. Never did it after. It was a crazy, amazing experience. Literally, you get there, you're not supposed to sit, you're not even supposed to look people in the eye. You're supposed to just, people are walking and meditating, they're sitting and meditating. It was wild. But after like the first day, I got it. I was looking at like a bird on a branch of a tree or something crazy. And I just said, you know what? I'm okay. You're okay. It's okay. They're okay. Everything's okay. And I'm just going to accept that everything is okay. And that was a big part of it. And then I started to build on that and say, you know what? I've had all this self-growth, all this personal development I've done, the tons of books I've read. I probably average about 2 books a month. I've got value. And now I believe that whenever I come into a room, whether it's a virtual room or a digital room or an actual room, I'm going to bring value. Now, I don't say it in an arrogant way. I don't, but I know that I can bring value. But it took a long time for that to happen for me. And my prayer to everyone listening, don't let it take as long as it took me to get to that point. But I am grateful, extremely grateful. I have lots of talks, conversations with my mom, who happens to be on our show. She happens to be one of our biggest fans, which is kind of crazy. Mom's like a groupie, I guess, so to speak. But she's great, and we had great conversations. And you know what? Sometimes it has to take all those things for you to finally, learn what you need to learn. And whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger is one of my go-to expressions.
100%.
I don't know if that answered your question, Dan.
It did. I mean, there's always something in our life that pulls the trigger as long as we're looking for it.
Yeah.
And I do believe from somebody that was in the same boat, like my first boss when I was 17 getting into this industry, told me I still smelled like pee, said I was too young to go see customers. And it sent me on until I was 35.
Wow.
Where I just felt, I mean, I was successful, but I was probably operating at 20% of what I was capable of. And in the last 10 years, I probably 2000x'd my first 20 years of this business. And it was because I finally broke out and said, hold on, I same thing. I can add value. I can bring something to, I'm not a child that people aren't going to listen to. I can help people. I can do these things. I can take companies from here and bring them to here. And I can help them solve these challenges and issues. And it was actually a presentation I gave to a CEO, CFO, controller, and vice president of logistics. And I was shitting my pants, for lack of a better word, walking into this presentation and like literally walking up the stairs going, who's going to take me seriously? And at the end, the CEO came up and said, you know what? You were the exact thing we need for our business. We need somebody like you that's coming and bringing in this fresh blood. And I just kind of like, it would be funny because I'd actually, you know what? Might try and find him and bring him on the show because I swear he was like, Dan's eyes were as big as saucers and he was like a total deer in a headlight, and he's like, you know what I mean, Dad? And I'm like, and I'm just frozen because I'm like, I can't believe this guy just, but it was that was the one moment in my life where everything did a 180. So thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
No, I got something that just because I obviously, Steve, we talked before this, so I do really resonate, and I knew this would be great because we all kind of share that same story in different ways. But was listening to Jay Shetty earlier, and he said something that Gandhi said, and it was so powerful. I was like, I know this is going to come up, so I'm bringing it up at this time because I know that you both said about serve. We say about serving all the time, but you find yourself when you'll lose yourself in the service of others.
Love that.
And I think that is that's what changed for me. Once it went from not the thing that I was going for at the end, the destination, the target, but just how many people can I actually help, and just thinking that way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're not serving every day, I honestly thinking you're doing the world a disservice. Every single one of us has something someone else needs. We've been through an experience that can help somebody. We've been through a challenge. We've understood something. We've created a strategy. We've done something that somebody out there is waiting for us to help them with and is in dire need of our help. So if you're a salesperson, there are traffic managers, logistics managers, VPs, companies out there that absolutely need what you can only deliver. I believe that wholeheartedly. And if you're not prospecting daily, you're actually being a disservice. If you think you're just relaxing, no, you're going backwards.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I think that's a good parallel into, apologize everybody. We're 19 minutes in. We've not talked about, I think we have talked about connecting because we talked about authenticity. We've talked about that. Yeah. So if you can, Steve, share with us in today's kind of economy, in today's fractured global markets on every level. What are some of the key, if you can give us let's talk about the top 3 to 5 things that you suggest when you're trying to connect with people that salespeople in today's world start using?
Well, I want to start first by just reflecting off what you guys were just saying, because it relates to this. Yeah. And, I've learned from my good friend, Jordan Mendoza, that, in these kinds of, shows, it's good to have engagement. So I'm going to ask the audience, I would like to know what you think true success is. So if you can, put in the comments what you think true success is.
I like it.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you what I feel like it is, and it reflects off what you both were saying, which is how many people.
Hold on. Before you do that, Steve, can the three of us shout it out at the same time? Can you guys whittle success down to one word? Whatever your version of success is, can you whittle it down to one word?
I can.
Okay, you ready? Steve, can you?
I can.
I can, okay. but okay, I could try, but it's not going to be.
No. And then afterwards, you can back it up, but just one word. So 1, 2, 3. Harmony.
Fulfillment.
Okay. So fulfillment. And what did you say, Steve? Serving. See, those are all pretty damn good. Yeah. All right. Now go, Steve. Sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it's how many people are better off because you were here. To me, that's what true success is, right? And so, one of the things that I am always talking about, whether it be connecting, whether it be in the business development world, is always to be others focused, right? And to not, to ditch the pitch, right? To get rid of the pitch, right? To go in and try to be authentic, try to be others focused, right? Big part of my journey was, and one of my key talks that I speak about is going from being inward and self-focused to others focused. So being others focused, right? And being a go-giver and looking to add value.
Sounds like you've read Bob Berg's work.
100%. Yeah. And my LinkedIn title is, I asked his permission. Part of my title up there, it says, is go-giver.
So Bob Berg is one of the greatest men that have ever walked the face of the earth. Yes. Dear friend.
We were blessed to have him on our show. He's amazing. He's great.
He is awesome. Yes.
He is awesome.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, so being a go-giver, being a server, right? And so if you go in there and go and look to find out what people's challenges are, they're what keeps them up at night, then you can actually go and help them. And I think a lot of times in the business development world, we're often looking to pitch something, we're looking to push something, we're looking with our own agenda. But if you go in there with really no agenda, that book, Ditch the Pitch, which is a great book, it kind of compares things to the improv world of acting, right? Where you go in there with no script and you kind of make it happen. And that sales conversation, that dialogue, even in the connecting, can be that way as well, where there's no real agenda. You kind of let it flow. And as long as you're others focused, you're not trying to think, okay, what can I get from this? But what can I give? That's a huge key to, I believe, to being effective in connecting in the business development world, whatever it happens to be.
That's awesome. So let's go through these a little bit. We've got for everybody that's commenting, I apologize. We're a bit behind on comments, but we're going to address them right now. Yes. So Karen says, love this. Needed to hear it again. The dynamics have changed. I've been in the business for 20 years, just moved to a new company, back in the throes of making viable connection. Thank you for your stories, rejection, and how you're choosing business partners that also inspire and give back in the partnership. Just how I ask, are you breaking through to getting to the guts of these people? Very, very good question, Karen.
Yes,
for me, it comes with an immediate, so if you've been a fan of the show for any while, we talk about 8 Mile, right? When Eminem gets on stage on the final battle rap with Papa Doc, and he trashes all of his buddies. He says everything. He kind of comes out and says, here's all the big elephants in the room here, and dishes them up on a silver platter. And Papa Doc's got nothing to say. So for me, when my sales turned around, that was exactly what I did. Is, customers are being screwed over, rates and all this other stuff. It was like, here's what I'm not. If you want to have an authentic conversation, if you truly want to understand, I believe congruency in people, not logos. I don't give a crap what your company logo is. It doesn't make my portfolio any better. Because when I first got in the industry, it's like, go after Pepsi, go after Home Depot, go after all these. Sure. Do they have a lot of business? Yes. Did they treat suppliers like a piece of crap because there was 50,000 other ones banging on the door to get in? Yes. So I'd rather go after the smaller guys. I didn't want to deal with the Walmarts or any of these big, huge conglomerates because they weren't congruent with the message. So for me, that's how I do it. I hit it. I 8 Mile it right from the get-go. This is who I believe in. This is the person I can help the most. If you represent this person or if you resemble this person, I'd love to have a conversation. Steve, DJ, how would you answer that question?
Love it. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar to what we were saying is going in there with, the true authentic self. I say to my clients, listen, you're not, if we do business together, you're going to get me, the company that backs me, sure, but you're getting me. I give you my cell phone. It's not a company cell phone. It's my personal cell phone number. And like I said before, I'll probably at some point tell that story about being at a funeral, because that recently listened, and I'll tell that story, and I take calls. The typical sales professional, they typically will hide often, right? And the biggest thing that you find in sales is when the challenges happen. That's when a lot of times the average salesperson, they hide. But I'm the guy that uses that and leverages that as an opportunity, because there's always going to be challenges, but as an opportunity to win their respect and to show them that I really care and I add value. So I try to be myself, authentic, try to figure out what their real needs are. And that's the way I kind of look to break through. And I just know it's a numbers thing, right? If you're only looking for one, a few big clients, like you said, it's hard. But if you have a huge pipeline of people that you could talk to, then you're less concerned. And people feel that if they sense desperation on you, they're kind of, they push away, they push back, right? If they feel like you kind of like
commission
value. Yeah. What is that?
When you get commission breath.
Yes. That's it. Yeah. So that's kind of my perspective.
DJ, how would you answer that, brother?
So I'll tell you, I don't know if this answers it, but to me it does. Again,
start answers with that kind of response.
Well, listen,
I don't know if it's going to do this.
I don't know if it actually does, but it was so powerful, and where Steve kind of went with it, I think kind of just dovetails to what he said. But again, as crazy as this is, I mean, I was just listening to this morning, so it's actually notes that I wrote down. But I think to answer, at least what answers it to me, is we're so focused on the result. And if we are only focused on the result, people can see that. So when you get rid of that, we focus on the things that we do have full control of, which everything that we do is the 3 P's is what they broke it down to: preparation, process, and practice. Okay. Those are the 3 things, but in that and of itself is the result. But if we have that and we focus on those things, the process where we're showing them, getting to the core of what actually is their pain, being in that empathy stage and really understanding them and not focusing on, okay, I see your problem, I could fix it, just do this and I make this money. If we don't even have that in sight and we're just focused on their problem alone, they'll know. Don't know.
That goes right back to Tammy's comment here. She says, Dan Deegan, sounds like you sold a solution, not a service. Great story. That was the one from when I finally broke through. And that sounds like it's right up your alley, DJ, where you're selling a solution. And what's the solution? James said, I had a sales manager that hired an actor to do cold calls for a BDR position, and he rocked it. And so, you're right there. So let's go through a couple of these. So Maggie says, happiness.
Yes.
Jeff says, happiness.
Yes.
Joshua says, self-actualization. Karen says, purpose. Great. Nick says, purpose as well. Jeff says, rewarding. Give more than you take. Hold on, I'm skipping here. Sorry. Joshua comes back and says, success is defined by achieving my full potential mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. I love that. Nick says success is done because of 3 reasons: fame, family, fortune. Give more than you take. That's the go-giver mentality, 100%. Yes, Karen says, thank you. This is so true. Always love Eminem and walk my ass across 8 miles. Yes, sir, Jeff. But you know what? When you think about it, right?
I love
it. Like Life of Pi, all these different movies, you can take what happens in them and refer it back to so many different things in life. Like if you just look at this, if you've ever, beyond 8 Mile, if you've ever actually looked at the story of Eminem, the guy was just dead set. Like he was going to succeed and there was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You look at like Kid Rock, he was going to succeed, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And even to the point where, for Kid Rock and Eminem, like drug addiction, alcohol addiction, all these things started entering their life. And normally they would go down this vortex and just collapse, but they saw the bigger purpose.
Yeah.
right? Like, and they came out of it, and you don't hear from them very often now, but they're uber successful. They've inspired so many people. So to me, that is, what you went back to, where it's like, you got to inspire. Honesty is what is being offered is key. I'll always give the good, the bad, and the ugly to my customers. Having been on the customer side for 15 plus years, I know what is expected from my service providers. Tammy, I am so glad you said that.
Yes.
I reached out to companies yesterday, and this one lady, and I won't mention her name yet because I asked her to be on the show. Nice. But her email back to me when I asked, because she said, I'm not interested right now. And I said, perfect. You know what? From a marketing, from a sales perspective, I'm always looking to glean awesome information. What does your suppliers do so well that you're not interested in hearing a word from me? And she came back and laid it on the line. And I was like, oh my God, I love this woman, and I've never even met her. And her last comment was, customers need to do more instead of taking the cheapest rate out there and hoping their network's going to get better. And it's funny because, so I've never met this person. I've sent one email. And I reply back, I'm like, oh my God, you got to come on the show. And I jumped down her throat to be on the show.
Like, oh, what show?
No, DJ, she says, and then I stopped. I sent the email. And then, you ever hit send on an email and you're like, oh, I was way too aggressive on it. So then I sent her one back with the quote I often use.
Whiskey?
With the president, and I forgot his name now, where you give a man a sip of whiskey, they develop a taste for it. You pour it down their throat, they get sick. So I went back and I said, this is a quote, and I'm very sorry, but here's kind of why I love your psychology. I love your thought process. I love your perspective. And she's probably going to be on the show in a couple of weeks. So nice. I love that you said that, Tammy. That is spectacular. Nick says, like in a relationship, you got me for all of my best assets and my flaws, but you get a true representation of me. Yes, I love that.
Be the true.
Focus on the progress. Value adding, Richard says, is that one word? You know what, brother? We are going to take it as one word.
Yeah, hyphenate it. Just hyphenate it is a word.
Yeah, exactly. It's still one word. Yes. Practice is what I just posted about. Have a look. We will definitely have a look after, brother. Jeff says, results determine the future. Anything you do, this is where the focus should be. I love that. Okay. Jeff's got it twice. Sir. Success is Success is security. I like that. That's a good definition of success, security, because that obviously, like success, right? Josh Hines, a good friend of mine. When he wrote his first book, he quoted Napoleon Hill, right? And he said, whatever the mind can believe and conceive, the mind can achieve. Yeah. And when he was quoting Napoleon Hill on success, he said, I have to stop here because everyone's version of success is different. And until we start focusing on our version of success, we're going to be living somebody else's version. And we see it all the time, gentlemen, in people, dad's a lawyer, mom's a lawyer, dad's a doctor, mom's a doctor, whatever the case may be, an accountant, whatever. And it's like, they are. Yeah. And it's like, well, is this what you really want? Nah, man, I want it to be this and this. So why are you doing and even if you make it to the highest of highs in your career, is it success? Yep. And it's an interesting question. And I know it's probably an entire show, but success, I think, comes down to perspective. Individual perspective. Like I know salespeople, they're doing 10 grand a month. They're in their mind, they're super successful. They're good. They don't want to put this into their career. They want to do their 10 grand a month. They want to have their 5 clients that do 2 grand a month each that they are solid with. And they're taking trips 5 times a year. And their team, everybody's success vision of success is different. And would you guys agree that as you grow, both in life and in understanding and in evolution, I guess, or in raising your awareness, do you think your perspective of success changes?
Definitely does. I mean, I just want to say this. Yeah. And I agree. Listen, there's a lot of great things that success can mean, but in losing this young man, this friend of mine, he had 2, wife, 2 kids. And I did a post about this. I said, what's in your dash, right? Like you got the on the tombstone, you have the date you were born and the date you passed. What's that dash, right? And so when it's all said and done,
that gave me goosebumps, brother. Wow.
Now,
when you were saying dash, I'm thinking you're talking about a car looking forward. Like you're talking about the dash.
What?
That's
and
heavy.
So like you make $10,000 a month, great. Are you taking it with you in your grave? Like that's why I really believe, and again, I'm not pushing my opinion on anybody, but again, what is it all about, right? Like you could have the you know, I don't know if you guys are honeymoon fans, but the yacht and the string of Peloponnese. I don't know if you remember, if you guys are fans of the show. I used to watch the show, String of Polo Ponies. But anyway, but you know, you could have a whole bunch of stuff, but what does that mean, right? You know, to me, it's what difference did you make? That's why I'm a huge believer in mentorship, because to me, mentorship is your legacy. It's what you leave behind when you pass. You know, what are people, you know, how did you influence the world, right? You're quoting, you know, probably dead presidents, right? People, you know, but their words were left behind and their influence were left behind. So again, that's why to me, success is more than just achieving something, right? You know, that's why you talking about Eminem, and you know, it hasn't happened to him, but there's been plenty of musicians and actors and they make it to the pinnacle of the career, and they basically implode, right? They you know, like Robin Williams and all these different people that, you know, they kill themselves, you know, or they go and, you know, they get, you know, addicted.
Kurt Cobain and
yeah, whatever.
People.
It's crazy because they hit success, but to that success was very kind of material. And then that's that.
But I think to add on to that too, I think they're chasing other people's success. Dan, you nailed it with, you know, 10,000. Some people are happy with that. I mean, a lot of people, 10,000 a month, you know, that's 120,000 a year. A lot of people are happy with that. And that might be the level of success. Or having, you know, your family and you have a house and you maybe don't have bills and you don't pay anything, but you, I don't know, whatever your level of success is what's best for you. Nobody else, but what's best for me is best for me. What's best for you, and that's where I think we're all trying to chase what we think somebody else's success is, or what we think other people think success is. But
so if I could share a quick story before we go, because I know we're past on time again. When I was 30, my brother was 32 and he died of cancer. And prior to being 30, everything was about business and money. Everything. And my children, so we're Jessica, so Brendan would have been like about 3 years away from being born. And my daughter would have been 5 years away from being born. And when sorry, no, that's not right. Gosh, I'm 45. I just aged myself huge. So Brendan was like 4 or 5, 6, and Jessica was like 4. So before that, but they were young, right? Obviously. Everything was about business. Everything was about money. Needed to get more business for more money. To the point where I had like 2 businesses going. So I'd come home from work, I'd lock myself in the office, and I'd come out. The kids were in bed. I'd go to bed. I'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, do it all over again. And when my brother died, a story that came out at his funeral was he was walking downtown Edmonton and came across a girl and her baby, and she was addicted to crack. And he literally picked all her stuff up and said, "Come on, we're going to take you home." He brought her into his apartment, gave her his spare room, and helped her come back from addiction. Literally the next morning, he left this woman addicted to crack with a baby in his apartment. He went to work and there was nothing sexual. He was just helping. And he said, "Listen, you eat, there's food in the fridge, just get better. I'll be back after work." And they developed a real good friendship bond. Like it was never sexual, it was never anything. And at his funeral in Edmonton, or it was by his bedside in Edmonton when she was talking to me, she told me this story. And she says, "You know, what he did for me is going to live forever because my son will know it. I'll get him to share it with his sons." That was a legacy, and it had nothing to do with money or business. And that one conversation changed my life forever. I told my wife, I said, "I am going to be the best I can be, but I'm going to be the best I can be in business and in personal life." And I bawled, I cried. I'm like, "I'm so sorry." Like it was just business. And I mean, to the point where I never saw anything wrong. Like my wife would come in the room. She'd be like, "Are you going to like join the family at any time?" Like, "Listen, because again, we talked about this the other day, DJ, you know, you're doing it for the family. And it's for the family. We talked about that this morning with Steve. It's like, it's for the family. And it was just, an eye-opening experience, and it changes your life, like completely. And it's, again, that was my version of success,
right?
And the evolution of success. And Bob Proctor, God bless his soul, he taught me early on, in my late mid-30s probably, that as we raise our level of awareness, our perspective on everything changes. And then you got the late great Wayne Dyer, who says the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So I love it. Thank you for sharing that too.
Yeah.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I mean, it's reality, right? And it's, thank you. I appreciate it. It was, but when you go back and you hear, like when I was able to sit down with my brother's friends, right? To my brother, to me, was like half the time he was like an asshole because we didn't get along very well. He was so different. Like we were A and Z on the spectrum. And I was like, he's a loser. I got all these cool friends. He doesn't have, like, just stupid kid stuff. But I'd give anything in the world to have him back and be able to share, cheers glasses with him at Christmas time and all that. But in speaking with his friends, the legacy this man left behind was incredible, like incredible. And you're like, regret, whatever, you can do it. But it's one thing when you start talking to people about their perspective of somebody, you realize how powerful every single action you take is. Like super powerful, can truly change somebody's lives. And Steve, the fact that you said that, my friend, like we are best of friends forever now. I'm sorry, man. You got me. I'm going to be like belly lint. It's not going away, brother. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got a few. No, absolutely. We've got a few comments here, DJ, and I apologize, everyone, because I know we're going over 2 shows in a row. I've realized what I think I'm capable of is probably 5% of what I'm actually capable of. Joshua, yes, brother. I focus on the process because whatever my goals are, I'm probably selling myself short. And if I'm the best version of myself, I get better results and am better equipped to be of service to others. My friend, sir. You just won my heart over again. That's awesome. Yes, Steve, one of my favorite quotes: after I'm dead, I'd rather have people ask why I have no momentum than why I have I do have one. Monument is why I do have one. Yeah. Sorry, I apologize, James. I messed that one up huge. Deep and hits home. Thanks, Nick. Action equals reaction. Yeah, that was the word. Remember, I was looking for that word or that phrase the other day, DJ. Yeah. Ooh. I don't know what that is, but okay. Sorry.
They didn't like what I said, maybe.
Oh, that's okay. Hey, not everybody's gonna, brother. That's why it's perspective. So that's okay. So DJ, we've been like,
oh man, we were all over
the map today.
But I think, so first I'll say it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Steve. Yes. Obviously, Master Connector, guys. Check out his show. It's pretty awesome.
We have the best damn audience on the planet, man.
Yep.
Sorry, Steve. No offense to your podcast. We have the best damn audience on the planet, buddy.
I could tell. I could see they're really engaged. Yeah.
He said belly button. He said ooh to the belly button. Thanks for
ooh to the belly button. Okay. Okay. Got it. Yeah. Got it. Yeah.
Okay. I agree, Richard. Now I understand completely. I thought the same thing. Ooh. But
anyway, TMI? Is it TMI? That was what it was, or what?
We're just giving our secret. You so clearly you have that every time you're taking a shower too. You're like, shit, look at
that. You say I went overboard.
Anyways, thank you everybody for joining us. As always, our audience, you guys really are amazing. So thank you for all of the comments. Thank you, Steve. I think we need to start asking more questions like Steve did, Dan. I think we have to do that and get more response like we did. Thank you for everybody who did answer what you think success is. I think that was huge too. So thank you for even bringing that. I know you guys do that on your show a lot as well, Steve. So again, thank you. But thank you to American Logistics, Centurion Trucking. And again, thank you to all of you for just volunteering your time to us. So to my rich dad, an homage to my rich dad, Robert Kiyosaki. Quote for him today: the richest people in the world look for and build networks. Everyone else looks for work. Build your network.
Love it.
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information